folks, and welcome to DNDMajor. I am Gina, and I will be your DM today, and I am joined by...
I'm Allison. I'm playing Farlina, the tiefling sorcerer.
I'm Evan. I'll be playing Valen, the high elf rogue.
I'm Gus. I'm playing Tybalt, a human druid.
This is Victor. I'll be playing the half-elf cleric Tamhir.
Fantastic. You all stare down the unnaturally dark tunnel before you, the fungus on either side emitting a deep, wet, earthy smell as you slowly begin to walk through the dark. Behind you, and in some cases leaning on you, are your companions, the Regent Bass and Lady O'Preed, as they are confronted by the strange fungal forest for the very first time. You make your way slowly, step by step, trying to be as quiet as possible and not disturb the mushrooms on either side, and keeping, obviously, all of your lights out for the time being. And the way is slow, but uneventful. You walk, and not too long after that, you come to a mild roadblock in the form of a very large mushroom tree planted stock in the middle of the trail before you. It looms above you, scarred and sort of weary looking, but unthreatening. And after a moment of careful consideration, you squeeze around it, trying not to disturb the mushrooms on either side, and you are able to pass with no issues. Not long after that, you emerge on the far side of the tunnel, at the very, very top of the large amphitheater, and look down at the huge looming tree that sits at the heart of this domed enclosure in which you find yourselves. You descend the stairs and stare up at the tree. The large, sort of barriered archway at its roots looming above you, and the snake that wraps its way around the archway, staring with lifeless eyes as you approach. What do you do?
All right, so the sequence I wrote out is the first glyph the same as the first glyph we know to work.
On the fabric that you took
Yes.
from the mushroom tree? No, it is not.
Okay.
The glyph on the far left of the mushroom tree fabric is completely different.
I guess the first thing I'd like to try then is the first character we know and the first of the fabric glyphs.
Okay, so you touch the character you know, and then you touch the fabric glyph. You touch the character you know, and it bursts to life. And then you touch the fabric glyph, and they both go down.
Damn.
So this isn't the solution, it's just...
We're missing more than one, is what this means to me.
more than one piece, you mean?
More than one from the fabric, perhaps?
Well, should we search this whole area for something else? Another...
Do we need
You
to
can.
find something else to get the fabric from? The full fabric?
I pull out the spool as well and say, this fit into the mouth of the snake before. I wonder if this has anything to do with...
Is it the same type of yarn or string that makes up the mesh?
So there is no string on the
That
spool.
one's empty?
Yeah.
Currently, because it was... You freed it from the remains of the creature that you destroyed.
I didn't actually get any of the thread stuff?
You didn't say you did. You, what you said is that you took the spool out of it and sort of pulled it free.
Oh, okay. I
Because
thought
the spool's at the heart of the creature, and it was surrounded by all the thread.
Oh, I see. So there wasn't anything left on it, essentially.
Not at the moment. If you wanted to go get some thread from there, you probably could.
I just wanted to know if it was the same.
I mean, I
Do
could
you
go.
recall?
I could go back and
You've
and
seen
get
both
some.
things. Do you
Does
think
it look
it's the same?
Does it look the same?
It looks like similar
Yeah.
material.
It looks about the same. Yes.
Yeah, all right. You want to fit it in
The,
to the mouth?
Sure. And I'll put the spool into the snake's mouth.
Okay.
I don't recall. We did a lot of experimenting. I think we got up to two characters.
Yeah, like you were able to figure out maybe a character in the next one. It just it took a while. So yeah, you got two characters.
Is the the one we know to be first in the sequence from the fabric.
It is.
Should I start there? Is the second one the one after that one in the fabric?
It is.
Cool. But we're still missing a chunk.
Chunk from the fabric?
Yeah.
Fabric?
How,
We don't have the whole
how
thing.
large is the chunk missing? Is it?
We don't
we
really
idea?
know.
Okay.
It's not. It's probably not big because again, you saw how, especially you Farlina and you Tybalt, you saw how the damage was done to the fabric, and it was just that it was burned, and not only did it catch where it split, but it did like burn a little bit on either side, but it didn't go up in flames.
It didn't destroy a lot
Yeah.
of it. Okay.
Well, can I try the sequence from the first glyph then? See how far we get.
Okay. You consulting the fabric and bringing the magic to life just absently over time.
I'd actually like not to, because I wrote them down.
Oh, right. That makes more
I'd like
sense.
to not activate it
Okay.
right next to the thing if I can.
Cool. Makes more sense. All right, so consulting your notes, you are able to tap the first glyph that you know, and you find it about 7 characters into the sequence. And starting from that point, going to the end of the fabric, all of the glyphs do come to life as you tap them. That does seem to be the correct order.
Are they in any sort of pattern on the snake?
No, they seem to
They
be
seem
fairly
pretty random.
Yeah.
Well, this is as far as the information goes.
There are other characters on the other side, like the first few before the character that you started with.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, I'd like to wrap around to
Okay.
the blank space.
Okay,
or the
so
blank
after
space.
you reach the end, you do notice that there is one area that's a little hard to read. You could either guess at it or maybe make a intelligence roll.
Sure,
Yeah.
it's pretty good. 17.
Yeah. So holding up the in this case you back away a little bit, activate the light to sort of consult the ends on each side of the one dead glyph that's been damaged. You're able to see like generally its pattern, and as you walk along the snake, you do find one that
Yeah, it's
seems to
sort of this tornado one. I'll do that.
exactly. And upon touching it, it comes to life.
Ah,
And you complete the row following from the beginning of
Okay.
the cut fabric to the one you know. And as you do so, when you tap the final glyph, they all turn white and glow steadily.
okay, good, different.
Does anything happen with the spool?
I was gonna ask.
Yeah.
So the spool, wait, did you put the spool in the
did.
I
snake's
asked her
mouth?
to.
I
yeah.
did.
Okay.
I already did that.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
I did
All
that
right.
first.
Then as you do that with the spool in the snake's mouth, the spool begins to spin in place.
Ooh.
And after a moment, the snake's eyes light up,
Uh-oh.
and you can see actually that the fabric from the snake's tongue has caught on the spool and has begun to wind and wind and wind. And as the snake's eyes light up, it moves.
Yeah.
It begins to make its way slowly off of the tree, and as it does so, the barrier that it has been creating flickers and dies in place. The snake swoops down to the ground in a shockingly fluid movement, considering it is made of what appears to be a solid piece of wood, and slithers towards you and stands in place. Its front and its head sort of elevated up off the ground, looking forward. At you, maybe, or maybe past you. It's a little difficult to tell.
How high is it raised up?
It's raised probably about 4 feet off the ground of its front, with the tail end of it lagging behind. Part of it's still almost partially on the tree roots, but it is just stood right in the center of the archway, staring forward.
Hello, Guardian. Nothing.
Doesn't seem to do anything
Is it still holding the spool with the
with its mouth.
fabric on it?
May we pass?
Doesn't do anything.
I don't know, guys. I think we should just keep on moving.
Well, that was really interesting.
Don't look a gift snake in the mouth.
But I want that back.
No.
But it has all that.
The thread seems a little horrifying. Controls other creatures. You sure you want to take that with you?
Yes.
She wants to control other creatures.
You don't know what I want. You know nothing about me. How can you make these assumptions?
You're willing to put yourself in danger for something we don't need.
How do you know we will not need that? We might need it further into this, wherever we are going.
I have been through many weird puzzles.
You keep saying this.
You never need the key for the next puzzle.
I mean, you've been
Besides, I have plenty of blood.
I don't think blood has worked once this. So.
You're wrong.
And I have plenty of fire. I turn to the snake. May I have this, please?
He's not
Doesn't seem
very
to do
forthcoming.
Is it back to stone? Like, is it like
Wood.
locked in place?
No, I
Or
mean,
not wood. Or
it's-
not stone, but like
It
inanimate.
seems to have become still. Its eyes are still lit up, but it's not like bobbing in place or anything like that. It's not doing like an idle animation.
Yeah, it's like it's an inanimate object now.
It appears to be inanimate at the moment.
Enough with the blood. It's creeping me out.
Regent Sir, have you seen anything like this before?
Animated, unanimated creatures. Yes, actually, there is some research going on at the Roost that's somewhat similar.
Exactly. This could be really useful for them.
It could be, but I don't know the cost.
Yes. Risks.
However, I don't necessarily think that a key used once is useless past that point unless it breaks. So,
I wouldn't call it the key. This is a puzzle solution.
It also just produced something. This is probably where whoever was making these inanimate creature things was creating the thread that they were using. This was what was being used to make that. At least that seems pretty clear to me.
I think a spider would be a little more thematically appropriate for producing thread, or maybe a loom.
The spool is a pretty tight fit, right?
yeah,
and
it
now
locked
Is
into
it locked in?
and now
Well,
it's
you
spooled up
remove-
with fabric.
That is true. So you were able to remove it before. It's sort of like, if you recall from the first time, the snake's fangs, you had to kind of pop it behind that and settle it in place. So it may be a little tricky to move now that it has thread on it. I'm
Look.
making a broad, expansive gesture for those listening.
Look, if this is a big deal to you, go for it, but I don't want to be around.
If you all want to proceed ahead, I'll grab this and I'll follow after you.
Fine by me.
All right.
Regent Sir, do you want to stay with me or do you want to walk with them?
I would prefer to walk with them.
All right, I will come last.
Okay. Who wants to take Jonathan, I guess?
I will.
Okay.
I can.
He leans heavily on his stick as Farlina, you sort of duck out from underneath him, and Tamhir, you take his place.
Valen, could I perhaps grab that stone from you momentarily?
That's a good idea. So I'll pass the stone.
All right, so are the rest of you moving back away towards the amphitheater or forward into the archway?
I say forward.
Forward.
I think forward.
Okay. You all sort of cautiously begin moving around the wooden snake, and as you pass it, it does nothing. It stays exactly where it is, sort of stuck in the middle of the archway. You step sort of around, and in one case over its long snake-like body. God damn it, that didn't go the way I wanted it
Muscle
to.
tube.
Muscle tube. Over its muscle tube, and
Danger noodle.
made the danger noodle, and make your way towards the sort of descending slope past the archway. And you pass through where the barrier once was, and there's nothing stopping you. You walk a little bit down the slope, and how far do you want to go? Are you just like proceeding completely, or are you going to a certain place and waiting? What sort of your
I
plan?
think maybe going a couple steps down, like still kind of keeping the snake in sight.
Well, now that we're on it, how far does it descend? Does it seem?
So now that you can actually see, and the barrier was difficult to look through to a certain extent, so now you can get a pretty good gauge of it. It descends probably about, it's like a normal staircase. Like, it's about a story down, and then reaches what looks like, I mean, it's not a staircase, it's like a slope, but it reaches what looks like a flattened place, and then past there you can see a tunnel leading forward.
So at least down to the landing.
Okay.
That's not going to be in sight.
Yeah. Tybalt will like wait up a little further up the slope.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll take a region at least to
Yeah.
the
Take
landing.
the region down there.
Maybe
Absolutely.
30 feet from the snake.
You descend down the landing, and looking on either side of you, this is a exquisitely carved sort of tunnel leading down. And you get a moment of kind of whiplash trying to figure out how this has come to be, because it does seem to be made out of the roots of the tree, but it's solid and consistent once you get into this tunnel. It's almost like it grew a house before it became a normal tree above it. And there are very, very detailed depictions of some sort of scene on either side. It's like flowing and carved in this very whimsical way, making it a little bit difficult just as you're walking down into sort of the darkness to get a grasp on what exactly is going on in it. But you see like what appear to be depictions of creatures and of maybe people and of some sort of swooping, almost weather looking thing. It could be clouds, it could be a storm, it could be something metaphorical, it's hard to tell. And you walk under this beautiful carving, kind of getting a cautious glance at all of it until you reach the landing below. Looking forward into the tunnel, you see it's not very long. It's like maybe 13 to 15 feet, until beyond that you see it opens up into a large cavernous space. It doesn't go very high. It only goes as high as the ground above it, but it seems to stretch out laterally pretty far.
And it's dark in here. Pitch dark in here.
It's dark.
I'll pull out the torch then.
Okay, you do so. And you stand sort of at the tunnel, looking up towards the archway above.
We'll be in that secondary flat area.
Okay.
I want to approach the snake head. I want to check around it. First, I want to see if the tongue is still attached to the snake itself.
Looking through, and it's a little hard because with the thread wrapped around the spool, getting a good glance to the back is a bit of a challenge.
Okay.
But after a moment, you see that, yes, it is, and you notice a notch or like a slit to the back of the snake's mouth that you hadn't really seen before, and the thread seems to be going deeper into the snake's body through that slit.
Okay. I want to reach up and see if I can gingerly kind of take the spool off of the hooks, I guess, in the mouth that are holding it in place, and see if I can gently pull it up. And just as I'm doing that, does anything happen?
You sort of reach into the snake's mouth, trying to find the clasps that have secured it in place, and you're able to pop the spool out as best you can. It's tight right now with the thread, but sort of in its mouth, you unspool it slightly, and you're able to, with the slack, move it beyond the teeth of the snake and out. It's still attached.
Okay.
But
does anything happen?
Not
anything
currently.
Around? Okay. I'll pull out my dagger.
Okay.
I'm so nervous. I'll pull out my dagger and I will gently take it to the thread and not cut all the way, but see if I start putting it to it. Does anything happen? I'm trying to be really careful about it.
Yeah, I mean, nothing happens if you put the dagger to the thread.
Okay. I'm gonna cut it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You cut it, and as you do so, the snake's eyes blaze bright white, and the glyphs along its back all light up at once.
I'm running.
And as you walk around it, the snake collapses to the ground behind you.
Okay. Did I run through?
Yep.
Okay. Cool.
Spool in hand, thread around the spool. Behind you, the barrier doesn't seem to be back. Things don't seem to be chasing you or anything like that.
Okay. And I got a spool.
You have a spool.
With thread on it.
With red thread on it.
Lucky you.
Yeah. When I run through, does everyone look like they're far enough? Are they far ahead? Can I see them or no?
Yeah, you can see them. They're
close.
not that far.
They're not very far.
Yeah, they wanted to stay within sight distance, so.
Okay.
Tybalt's waiting by the top of the ramp.
Oh, you're up near the top,
Yep.
where I come in?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
At the bottom. It's
Oh,
a
at
ramp
the bottom.
down.
It's a ramp
Just
down.
yeah.
Okay. I'm going to quietly slip into my bag.
Okay. You meet up with everyone else. You all
Okay.
saw the snake collapse.
Hey,
above.
did you get it?
I did, and I pull it out of my bag.
Yeah, that wasn't gonna fly.
Yes, nothing happened. It just
Cool.
collapsed.
Yeah.
It's fine. So,
We have
We have
thread
this.
we don't know how to use.
we have it, though. I tuck it back in my bag. So,
All right, let's move on.
All right. Torch in hand, you walk through the short tunnel And as you step into the room in front of you, when you first lay your foot upon the ground within the space, the room comes to light. Panels along the large sort of circular walls that span around this space all go from a very dim glow up into almost daylight. And actually, for the first time since you've come into the in-betweens, it feels like daylight in a strange way. It feels familiar, like you were out in the sun for the first time in quite a while, and it's incredibly comforting after being underground and in the strange eternal noon of the in-betweens. And you walk in and you examine the space. And before you is a very ornately decorated, but somehow surprisingly empty space. There's a lot of room here. It goes on and on. The fairly low ceiling feeling oddly oppressive in a room so large with no obvious supports in the center. It has this brief spike of concern runs through you. It feels like it should collapse, like it shouldn't hold itself like this. But the space just goes and goes and goes. The panels on the walls are separated by what look like alternating wooden carvings and then mosaic, and then wooden carvings and mosaic, all splitting the space in this beautiful contrast of color and texture. And as you walk forward, you see in the center of this room, kind of far away, you'd have to walk towards it for a little while until you reach the center, a single pedestal, a slightly raised space. And set into the pedestal are two things. One is a chair. Not a throne, not anything ornate, a simple chair. And in front of the chair is a stick stuck into the ground. From this distance, you can't tell anything more.
Is it like a wooden chair?
Looks like a wooden chair.
Tybalt's gonna go up and investigate and see how the stick was... No?
Alright.
Yeah.
Now the chair's slightly turned away from you, so you can't see like any sort of detail on it, but you can see the back, and it looks fairly... Especially when compared to the elaborate, beautiful wooden carvings that you saw coming down here, and the decorations on the walls, it seems simple.
What were the decorations, like the carvings and the mosaics? Like, were they...
Do you want to go investigate them?
Can I go look at those?
Sure.
Yeah.
So you walk over to one of the lit panels, and as you get closer to the panel, you can see that it's fogged glass of some sort, but you can sort of peer beyond that, and it seems to be glowing from beyond that fogged glass. There's something behind there that's emitting light. And on one side of this panel, you see mosaic, and on the other side, you see wooden carving. And with the wooden carving, it's much like the wooden carvings from outside. There do seem to be figures, animals especially, that are carved into this one. This particular one seems to have a collection of, like, strange rodent-like creatures. Again, it's hard to tell from the design whether it's stylized or whether it's just creatures you've never seen before. And then on the mosaic side, the mosaic is stark. It's beautiful, but it's stark. It's smoky glass, variants of like black and gray, and almost like a pale purple pink. And then at the very center are two orbs, and they are perfect spheres of glass, one green and one white.
Are they glowing as well?
They're not. They're just They just appear to be glass.
Okay. Interesting. Are there others that depict the same thing? Are they similar things?
The
or
mosaics
totally
all seem to be similar. They all have the same green and white spheres, but the colors around them change. The wooden carvings, as you walk from one to the next, all depict different classifications of creature, is the best way to put it, different families. One has birds, one has dragonkin. Yeah.
How many approximately, or exactly, of these sets are there?
It's hard to tell. Probably hundreds.
Wow.
Because they go on both sides, and this is a large space, and they completely encircle the space.
Is there anywhere you'd like to go, Jonathan? Anything you'd like to see?
He shakes his head slowly from one side to the next, and then pauses, and then turns to Bass. Remind me, because I'm afraid it's all hard to keep track of. You have family in Gauntler, correct? And she nods, and she's staring at the mosaics, kind of just consideringly, her head tilted slightly to the side. Am I right in thinking that there's a Gauntler myth of some sort about a green and white sphere, or am I getting that confused with Veiled Fur? I'm sorry, it's sometimes more difficult to keep track of than I'd like. And Bass walks up to the mosaic. She's like, give me a minute. Yes, sorry. In answer to your question, yes, I do have some family in Gauntler. They're researchers. They research history so they can make replicas and sell them for craft. Give me a moment. And she just kind of stands near one of the mosaics, considering, and Jonathan nods and turns towards all of you. To the center of the room, I suppose.
Okay. That's bait, though.
It is, but what's the alternative?
I don't know.
This doesn't look like anything I've seen before, right?
What doesn't look like anything you've seen before?
Any of these, the mosaic description or panels or anything? I don't know when I would have seen anything like that, though, so...
Make a history check with disadvantage, I guess. Like...
11.
Okay.
Yeah.
When Jonathan says maybe it's a Veiled Fur myth, you think about that for a moment, but it doesn't seem to ring any bells.
That's essentially what I was looking for.
Yeah.
Like, if he mentioned that but didn't know what he was talking about, so... Okay.
I've seen this style of carving before.
Also make a history check.
26.
Jeez.
Holy shit!
Plus 8.
No. It actually doesn't look familiar. And you've seen a large variety of both like ruins and also just historical records, not only from Waxen, but from several countries. That being said, when you're glancing at the mosaics and taking what Jonathan said in mind, you do recall that there are different creation myths in Gauntler. Gauntler has not been your field of study, but you do know that they have a slightly different creation myth, and that a green sun can be part of the iconography associated with it. But what you also know is that all other countries that you know of have like a sun god, and like there's sort of a known way to approach anything having to do with the sun in Gwen or Waxen or all of these places. So
Okay.
yep.
To the center we go, I guess.
All right. You walk towards the center of the room, and there are sort of rings of stone around the center, all sort of circling in on this one focal point. You walk towards it, your footsteps echoing in the sort of enclosed space, and you reach the center. And upon this raised platform, you find the chair, and you find the staff set into the ground, and you notice a couple of things as you walk forwards. The first is that the chair is not empty. Not quite. Within it, set up against the high back and sort of crumbled in the ground before it, is a very, very, very old body. A corpse that has been here for more time than you can count. It isn't quite skin and bones. It's strangely mummified where it sat, sort of collapsed into the back and staring forward, its jaw slightly askew. Also, its clothing seems to have almost like melted into its form where it lay. You can see it draped to the ground, and it's not falling apart like you'd expect, but it has almost been absorbed into the rotting, or not even rotting, the mummified flesh before.
This is a jogger. From Skyrim.
It sits there staring forward at the staff before it, and before it is a beautiful thing.
Oh boy.
It is a gorgeous single piece of wood. It almost looks like a sapling growing out of the ground here, although you can see that it is clearly set into the ground. It's smooth and unbroken all the way to the top before it branches out into a series of, well, branches. Not carved, it looks like it came into existence like this. And the branches all wrap around a central void. Looks like something probably went here originally, but it is an empty space between the clawed branches that wrap around the top. Around this beautiful piece of wood, you can see very faint markings that spiral down and down and down into its very base. It's simple and strangely striking because of it. You stare, much like the dead figure in the chair, and it takes you a moment to tear your eyes away from it. It draws your gaze.
Probably don't tear my eyes away from it.
Okay. Then you continue to stare. And it's enthralling. You want to know what it does. There's this strange burning sensation in your chest. This feels like delight, but slightly to the side. This thing does something.
Do I still control myself?
Do you?
Well, can I try to do something?
Sure.
Can I reach? I'm still gonna stare at it, but can I reach in my bag and pull up the piece of orange glass
Absolutely.
and look through it at the staff?
You stare through at the staff, and nothing happens in the room. There's no change. You don't suddenly get clarity, but as you're staring through the glass around this staff, you can see something. Glints of light, like wet, like dew on spider webs, just around the side.
Do I see him do this?
Yeah, you can see him take out the glass and stare at it.
Not hiding.
Do you see anything?
There's something filling the room from here.
From that thing?
Filling is maybe the wrong word. Can I look away now? Mm-hmm. Or am I physically cool?
You choose to look away.
Yeah. I don't know. Very interesting. Do you want to see?
Yes. And I'll look through the glass as well.
You look through. It's much the same. It's just there seems to be something like emitting from this area, or just something in the room. It's hard to tell. This doesn't offer clarity necessarily.
No.
But you can see through the glass there's just something.
Okay.
The presence here.
This is very unusual. I shake my head a little bit and hand the glass back to Tamhir.
Is it safe to touch?
Probably not. Generally, in these sorts of places, that's something you leave alone.
I wonder who this was. Looking at the person
somebody who
sitting.
stared too long.
Yeah, can I look at the body and just try and see if Tybalt, we'll just try and do like a one over on the body and see if like did they just sit there? Is there any like head trauma?
Sure. Make an investigation check.
3.
He did.
You walk up and it's hard to tell. It's all so aged and fused together, and you can't really read the body.
Mm-hmm.
I say this is an obsession. Sat in the chair, is determined to figure it out. Forever.
Or he was someone who created it? I don't know.
If he knew what it did, I don't think he'd stare.
This body looks really old, right?
Looks really old.
Extremely old.
I'm gonna give you one more chance. Make an investigation check for the body.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you're just looking at it.
Yeah, I'm looking at the body.
Maybe I should be doing this.
Yeah. Maybe the person is very good at investigating.
I'm okay at it.
14?
Okay.
Yeah, it's like, meh.
Can I do something different? Can I know you said it's very old. Can I make a guess at how old it is?
Sure. Make an intelligence.
Be medicine.
Sure. Make a medicine.
That's what I was aiming at.
That's fine. Go for
Oh,
it.
I see what you mean. You're like
Yeah, actually,
gauging
if it had been medicine,
time of death.
That's kind of what I was going for.
19.
Okay.
Oof.
Really old. To the point where it probably shouldn't, even mummified, especially out in the air like this, it probably should not still be here. You would be afraid if you touched it that it wouldn't exist anymore.
Is it wet in here? Like we're underground, or is it very dry?
It's very dry. Especially with the and it's starting to warm up a little bit, the heat of the fake sun in here. Pressing in on all sides.
Oh, right. It's like really bright in here, right?
Yeah.
I mean, really
it's-
bright, but it's like daylight.
Right.
Yeah,
there
it's
you
like
go.
it's like sun through clouds.
Okay.
Brighter than it's been.
What is on the opposite side of this chamber besides the way we came in? Is there anything over there?
You go and walk that way, and there's one place where there's a break in the panels. There's just like a stone wall as opposed to like one of these glowing panels. But beyond that,
Just for symmetry.
What are Bass, Opreed, and the Regent doing?
So Bass is over still by the mosaic, and actually you're now pretty far from her. She stayed near the entrance, just looking at it. You can go see what's up with her if you'd like. Lady Opreed is with you. She's staying a little ways back from the center and the body and the staff and all of that. She's as far back with your group as she can be. I don't know. Tamhir, were you the only one that walked over there, probably?
I had the Regent on me.
Okay, well,
He might be
you
with
probably
me.
could have seen it from the center. You probably didn't
Okay,
need to walk
then
that way. So, yeah.
Yeah. We're in the
So
middle.
you're all gathered there. Lady
Nearest
Opreed
the
is,
center,
is
yeah.
like maybe like 2 of the rings on the floor out from you all, but she's with you, and the Regent is with Tamhir.
Okay. Like, pull out the spool as well, and like ask Tamhir, can I see that that abjuration glass that you have?
What are you gonna do?
Oh, I want to do exactly what you just did. Look through it.
At this?
At this.
I'll pull it up and look at it.
Does it look any different?
Like looking through
No.
the glass.
Looking
does it-
through the glass at the
At the
spool.
spool.
Is there anything different about it?
there is something in the room.
Yeah.
It's this
Perfusing the space.
is yeah,
Okay, cool. Okay, thank you.
a little bit meta. The glass is not a solution to this,
No,
but
I
it does
understand.
reveal a little bit of what's going on.
Yeah, I understand. I'm gonna walk back over to Bass.
Okay. You hear her as you approach. She's muttering, like, not like whispering. She's like you would if you were talking to yourself at home or something like that.
Yeah.
Not projecting, but just talking to herself a little bit, staring at the wall. She doesn't seem to be reading anything, and as you approach, you realize that what she's saying seems to rhyme. It's almost like an old nursery rhyme, although she keeps pausing and stopping and then like trying again. It seems like she's trying to work her way through a memory of some sort. Do you approach her?
Yeah.
As you come close, she sort of senses you behind her, and she turns and nods towards you and looks back at the mosaic.
So, does this mean anything to you?
Well, like I said, my family, I do have some family from Gauntler, and I remember my uncles singing some song sometimes when they'd come to visit. It was like it's a nursery rhyme. It's not... I don't know much, but I'm trying to remember what it said, because it had something to do with... And she puts her hand on the mosaic and touches the white circle. She says, with fair thorn and Faewyn, and touches the green circle.
The beginning of the world.
Is that? Do you say that?
I'll call it over, yeah.
Okay. I mean that. Yes, that is the story so far as I can tell. But
With fair thorn and Faewyn?
Fairthorn and Faewyn are the... So as best I know it, in the rest of the world, we know that there is a sun and there's a shadow. There's the sun god, and it rules both the lights in the sky, but there's one that's real, and there's one that's just sort of like a reflection of it. But that's not what Gauntler believes. It's a little different. They think that, and she gestures towards you, Tamhir, they think that it's one light is the start of the universe, and one light is the end of the universe. That on one side you have a light held by like a... And she sighs. I think the white one's supposed to be Fairthorn and the green one's supposed to be Faewyn, but... And she smiles to herself. This is what I'm working with. This is the poem, and to be clear, the poem is very long, and this is only the end of it, but... It goes like, oh, Fairthorn took torch in hand to light where this new road began. One torch would lead, one torch would stay, and Faewyn turned and walked away. Therefore, one must have been the start, which sounds like Fairthorn, and one must have been the end, which sounds like Faewyn. But the poem goes all sorts of places. It's like a long, epic thing, and I don't remember how it rhymes. I remember it rhymed wild and smiled at some point. It's hard, and this is not really my expertise. I can try to think on it. I got one for you, but...
So, it starts with Fairthorn took torch in hand and Faewyn turned away, something like that?
It's like...
It's so...
What happened
like,
before that? It's like...
Like Fairthorn took the torch of light to start the universe. Faewyn left and would return to end, essentially.
I think it's less like a start and an end like time. I think it's a start and an end like a place. Like one torch is at the start and one torch is like physically at the end. But also his gauntlet, and I don't put much stake in it. It's more just that everyone else seems to be on the same page. Well, that's not even true nowadays. There's that new, like, sun cult, so I guess it's not all on the same page when it comes to what we believe in. But, like, at least Gwyn and Waxen and even Cowthera seem to be somewhat on the same page. So I don't know exactly what's going on in Gauntler.
Where's Velfer fit in with their creation myth? Like
Velfer rose from the sea.
Yeah. I feel like
Reverse
they got
Atlantis.
Some fucked up shit going
That's
on there.
sort of what I was about to say. I mean, it depends on whether you mean how Veltfer came to be, or
Crafted
how...
by the Nine Hell.
Or rather, like, how they view the start of the world. If they even have a view of the start of the world, or if it's Veltfer-centric, like...
So, it's a little bit Veltfer-centric, although, yeah, it's a little bit Veltfer-centric,
Okay.
and it's gonna sound a bit familiar in that they believe all the world is a bubble.
Okay.
And it's protecting against something else. And over time, they've had to build more and more protection as the outside creeps in. Mm-hmm. So they think that it came to be with a pretty much whole formed, like the world just one day was, but that it's gotten smaller and smaller over time.
Mm-hmm. And we've had to build more and more bubbles.
Yep.
To keep the separation from, I guess, collapsing in.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to suggest, as an option, if we wanted to sleep, it's a bit morbid, but we could talk to our friend here tomorrow, see what he knows.
That could be very interesting. You have the power to do this?
Mm-hmm. Dead people know all kinds of things.
Sure, he's
Where to put the blood.
not too. Sure, he's not a little too gone.
It requires him to have a mouth, and his is still attached.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I could.
All right. I vote that course of action.
Requires us to sleep on our timetable, though. Now, this place seems pretty, well, I say that, relatively secure, but...
We could sleep and keep watch. We could rotate.
I mean, the void. Our
Yes.
global timetable.
Bass, how... we don't know how fast that is even moving.
All I have is my eyes looking from a tree out of a bubble towards the darkness.
And given what you have just said about the end of the world and
Only in the beginning of the world.
the beginning, well,
Do we want to try picking the staff up?
I would highly recommend against it.
Put some blood in it first?
I think I would like to sleep first before
Yes,
we
I
do
can't
that.
do very much if things go wrong.
Okay.
I feel like I know that I would benefit from resting a bit.
We'll get some rest.
It's
and,
true we will lose time, but there might be a lot of utility in what we can gain by resting.
I don't think we had too many other options. Agreed.
Do you all feel like you need a rest? And I'm turning to
Yes.
everyone else.
Jonathan says, just leaning against Tamhir. I've given my people as much information as I can. I'm hoping they can at least, if we're very lucky, he sort of pauses for a moment. If we're very lucky, we are going to find out that we are close to some other section, traversable section of the in-betweens. And if that's the case, we should be able to have rescue come our way.
You have contact with the surface. What is going on up there? What are they... not surface, other side. What are they experiencing?
So,
Have
to
they
be
described
fair,
anything to you?
the people that I'm talking to quickly relocated to the roost after what happened. And those are the people that I'm talking with, not the people at the castle. Unfortunately, I do not have contacts
And
there.
there's no indication that there's anything abnormal happening at the roost as well?
Not at the roost, not at the moment. But I will say that before they left, there was a considerable collapse within the city, around the central island. And as part of that, some of the surrounding water began pouring in. They've had to evacuate that whole section of the city. Around it seems to be sturdy at the very least, but people are being told to move to nearby towns and cities for the time being. We're trying to get people out of there.
I see. No dark voids on that side.
No dark voids. But I'm only mentioning this now because I was concerned that the water would reach us eventually. I think the cave system beneath the city may be flooded.
So we cannot come back out that way at all. We have to come out a completely other exit from the in-betweens.
But that's what we were doing anyway.
That's what it seemed to be the case.
That was our plan.
But we could end up anywhere. They don't know where we are currently.
They do not. I was hoping... Oh, you weren't there when I explained this. I was hoping that the runes that we saw in the entryway would help our in-betweens experts locate us. They're all unique, and they... Well, I don't know what they mean. At the very least, they are consistent such that we can generally tell what region of the in-betweens certain runes come from.
I see.
Again, if we're lucky, we'll find that we're not as far away as we think.
Well, we're all agreed then that we should take a rest here for the night.
I'd feel much better.
And then we can speak with this person here when we wake up, and then decide on how we will proceed, or just proceed, because we're going to lose time and we're going to have to get back to moving.
We'll have to make a choice to either pick up the staff, talk with the body here. We don't have too many more options.
This staff thing could be the thing that is holding the roof above us right now, for all we know.
Yeah, so let's get a little rest before we try and do anything.
Before we
Yes.
collapse the ceiling. Okay.
I'm gonna go sleep up by the surface. The snake is a little worrying, but seems safer than staying down here.
You're going back up, out of the ground? I thought you liked being underground.
I do, but it's too bright in here. You Yeah, because like the room is like really dry and hot.
Yep, it's
Yeah.
dry and hot. And bright.
Palpable draw.
I'm gonna stay in here.
I'm not staying in here.
You're gonna go back up as well?
Yes.
Well, if everybody's going back up to hang out with the snake, I suppose I will go up there as well.
All right. Are you all going? Where are you planning on making camp? At the base of the amphitheater?
I was just gonna be on
Probably
like
in the amphitheater.
first seats in the amphitheater.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not super far.
We'll take watch.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll take watch and take a long rest.
Tybalt is going to use his last level 1 spell slot, get some good berries going.
Okay.
So yeah, he's gonna go dig around and pull some mushrooms up and leave a pile of good berries at camp. The pile of mushrooms. Mushrooms, that's what they are.
Good mushrooms.
Yeah.
Not shrinky mushrooms.
I
The good
too
shrooms.
have 1 first level spell slot left. If anybody needs how about no, he's constantly refusing me.
All right, so you all make your way back to the surface. As soon as you mention that you don't want to stay in this chamber below, Lady O'Preed just like takes off. She keeps kind of turning to look back at you all to make sure she's not getting too far ahead, but she's out. And Bass sort of lingers for a moment, and once she joins you, you can sort of hear her muttering under her voice, and she's saying a different verse than what she said to you all, so it seems like she's still working to try to remember what she knows. And you make your way back up to the large sort of base of the amphitheater. The snake lies on the ground still, and you step over it and around it, and you exist sort of in this, it's still sort of bright out here. There's this perpetual, almost midday, almost noon to midday light in this area, so that may be trouble if you're trying to get some sleep, but otherwise, you choose to camp here for the night. All right, is there anything that you all want to do as part of that other than prepare good berries or good mushrooms and all of that?
Is it possible for does the regent just conk out? Does he just go to sleep?
He actually sort of sits off to the side, and after a while he hears something from his communication device, and he talks into it briefly.
Can't believe he has a cell phone.
You called it a rock a couple of times. It's not a rock. That's all I'm gonna say. And after a moment, looks frustrated and puts it away, and just sort of leans back, and dozes like he did when he was against the shack.
I would like to take some minutes. The bottom layer of the amphitheater is like smooth stone. I'll take out some chalk. I will draw an octagram on there, and I will sit down for 11 minutes. I will resummon my familiar
Okay.
from a tarantula to a little snake boy.
Oh.
Little sidewinder, sort of snake,
Gio the snake. Aw.
in preparation for tomorrow.
Okay.
Does Lady O'Preed go to sleep pretty soon?
She actually
I'm
doesn't.
keeping an eye on her.
Yeah, she sets off. She's probably on the 4th level of the amphitheater up, and she's just sort of sitting off to the side. She keeps glancing behind her towards the direction of the menagerie, since that on the flip side was the direction that the goop dog came from and attacked her. She's on edge. I'm going to call it keeping watch, maybe not in a productive way, but she is watching the area around you pretty attentively.
I want to go over to Jonathan and sit down with him really quietly, and just quietly address him any news from the other side?
They didn't recognize the runes, and he keeps his eyes closed. He's just leaned back, but he's talking sort of quietly in your direction. They didn't recognize them. Which either means we're so far away from anything we know that we're inaccessible, or we don't know very much about the in-betweens, it turns out.
This feels like possibly an end.
It's not the first time, and he opens his eyes and sort of looks towards you for a moment. It's not the first time I've seen that wall of shadow.
You've seen that before?
I don't know if it's the same one. I don't know how it works, but there's one near There's an access to the in-betweens near the roost. And one of the pathways between it and another major city passes by a bit of this void. We threw rocks at it. I don't know what's on the other side.
Have you thrown anything other than rocks into it?
I personally haven't. I can't speak for others.
Does it move like this? Or not as hungrily?
I've not seen that before. Which to me may mean that something's changed, or that this is just not the same thing. It looks the same, but it doesn't seem to be acting quite the same. Farlina, and he says this quietly, Bass talked about timers. Of the group, you and I are the only ones that aren't on a timer, and we need to be resigned to that. Now, I will do everything I can, and I am doing it, to get us out of here. For a variety of reasons, not least of which being that if Lady O'Preed dies under my watch, we're gonna have a problem, but...
That is the other reason why I wanted to speak with you. Where do things sit with her?
There's somebody that works at the Roost that has an uncanny ability to reverse the effects of... Do they call it corruption in Viltfur?
Essentially. It does not affect a lot of people there, as a lot of people look like me.
I've always found it a rude term. Probably inaccurate, but there is a way to reverse it, I suppose. I've not seen anybody else do what that man can do, but I suppose it's possible if we're able to get out in time. Otherwise...
Do I know who he's referring to?
Make a history check. Recent history, but history.
Make a friend check.
I don't think I'd know. 8.
Nah.
Nah.
You kind of like, you quickly scan through your memories of the Roost, and you're like, I mean, there's the Druid research lab, but also...
I was in dance class.
Yeah, and also, the Roost was super lame when you were there.
Yeah.
It was a tent city.
Yeah.
So, like, you're just like, I don't know who that is, but okay.
Yes, I'm very much aware of this.
I think I'd reverse the question to you. What do you think her chances are? People end up outside the bubble in Viltfur. What are their chances?
You can survive outside of the bubble, certainly. But it is not easy, and it is not advised. In Viltfur, it is different because you not only have the effects of the in-betweens outside of the barriers, but you have everything that comes with it. Mm-hmm. You have the dead rising from the ground. You have creatures that are unlike anything else. So, we have been encountering these things, though, so it is not unfamiliar to me. It is hard to say. We have such a large group that is also possibly working against us as well. If it were just 2 people moving through, we could move at a faster pace. I don't know. I don't like being in bubbles, though. As counterintuitive as that sounds.
I was going to say that I wouldn't expect that. I'd expect it to make you feel safe, but don't know what I'm talking about.
To me it is stifling, but I also have the luxury of not worrying as much about the effects of the other side.
Well,
I don't know if that answers your question, or if that brings you any sort of comfort. I think we can get through this, but we have to keep moving. But we also have to get our sleep.
What I'll say is this, and at that he turns away from you and projects his voice loud enough to where it fills the sort of base of the amphitheater. I want to say thank you for all of you that explored this space while I was unable to. Obviously you made progress. I don't know what this is going to look like, and I don't know what is down there in that room, But you did what I could not, and I appreciate it. And he kind of darts his eyes from each member of the group.
I'm showing Lady O'Preed how to hold the dagger so she doesn't stab herself. So, like, if you do it like this, you won't get your thumb when...
And she passes it from one hand to the other, just kind of
Maybe just the dominant one.
Whoa there.
Yeah.
And she looks up as this is said, and her face doesn't change. She just sort of looks around at each of you, and after Jonathan makes his announcement, he closes his eyes again and leans back against the stoop. And quietly under his voice back to you, Farlina, just says, I suppose we'll have to see what tomorrow brings.
Indeed. I'll leave him.
Okay. Is there anything else you all want to do before you turn in?
I'm gonna check on his foot.
Okay.
I'm keeping a medical watch on him since he won't take any healing.
Okay. As you go over and mention this, he sort of grimaces and...
Like, that's the last thing he wants to deal with. Like, this fucking foot. Like, there's so much
Guess what?
else
You
going
can't
on.
ignore it.
Yeah.
Okay, Doc.
And slowly, methodically, he removes sort of the dressing that's on it and the boot that
Splintered
surrounds
it
it.
last
Yeah,
time, yeah.
exactly. And you see, again, considering that he hasn't taken healing, it is healing rather well at the very least, and far faster than you'd expect. There doesn't seem to be any sort of infection from where it crushed and the bone came out. It also seems it seems stable in a way that it probably shouldn't. Like, the bones have grown back correctly despite the position, but also it is horribly bruised and like swollen and strange in a way that is off-putting. So it's healing, and the gashes seem to have healed up pretty well, but it also still doesn't look great.
No, really good. This looks really good. How you feeling about it?
Lucky, all things considered.
I have one last piece of willow bark. Do you want it now or do you want it tomorrow?
Tomorrow,
Good
considering I may have to run on
Good
this
call.
again.
call. All right. We'll see what we can do.
And he grimaces and then looks down at the now unsplinted foot and is like, I don't know what to do with that.
If you're not going to move, maybe leave it open for tonight.
And he nods and sort of takes off the wrapping he has over his sort of simple clothes and balls it up and leans back against it.
All right, watch.
Yes, take watch.
Okay, who wants to watch first?
Sets of two paths. Do we have enough people for that?
Can we do that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
4 of us, Lady O'Preed, Bass.
Yeah.
Three sets of 2.
3 sets of 2.
Let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'll take watch first. Whoever wants to join me.
I will.
Okay.
All right, Farlina and Valen, you both decide to take the first watch as everyone sort of settles in. Some of you, like, who are sleeping, drape cloths over your face to block out the light. But it's been a pretty exhausting chunk of time.
I
so...
imagine it's like sleeping at the airport. Like, where...
You just pull the hoodie strings.
Yeah, the light's still on.
worst.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have one of those little eye masks.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Because right until that moment, you thought they were dumb.
Now, like, I get it. I understand. But yeah, everybody settles in, and Valen, you and Farlina begin to take watch. And you do so for the entire duration of your watch. Seems uneventful for that. Don't have to roll. Nothing happened.
Nice.
Who's taking the
good
next?
night.
Yeah.
I don't mind getting up in the middle, so I can get up. Maybe I'll wake Bass.
Okay. Bass did fall asleep at one point, but she seems to have woken up sometime during the night. When she nods over at you, and she's like, all right. Yep. Which one do you want?
Dealer's choice.
I'll take the mushrooms, because
All right.
if something's coming from that, I'm not going to see it coming anyway. And looks towards
Fair
that.
enough.
This time, I am going to see what
Roll
you
by
roll.
yourself?
A perception check.
25.
Holy shit.
Uneventful. Nothing comes your way during that. Are you sitting with Bass, or are you?
We're probably
at the top
separate.
of
If we're
the-
doing two different paths, we'll probably sit separate.
That's what I figured. And so after a certain bit, you see Bass sort of walking along the edge of the upper part of the amphitheater, nods at you and gestures back down to the base. And you all are able to turn in. And I guess, Tybalt, that's
yep.
you and Lady Opreed.
Well, yep.
You wake up Lady
Pretty
Opreed,
quiet.
and she sort of jerks up with a start.
She shanks you.
And sort of... well, she does glance around briefly
Try and dodge the knife coming at me.
Right in the kidney.
for her knife, which she did not leave near her body. And then realizes that it's you and nods and then furrows her brow. It's like, are we just watching? What is it that we're looking for?
Anything. If you see something moving, just let us know. And I mean, grab me first before you wake everybody up. But that's it.
If I'm at the top of the stairs and one of those creatures comes at me, do I yell for you? Do I fight it?
Yell, yeah, yell first,
Okay.
and then come and grab us, and we'll come and help. It's all right. You did good with that wolf today. I believe in you.
It's sort of... She sort of looks over towards the dagger. Kind of popped. It didn't really fight. It was very scary, but it just stopped. It hit my knife, and then it just was gone.
Well, hell yeah, maybe you have a talent you didn't know about.
That doesn't seem terribly likely, but thank you.
Of
Okay.
course.
All right, let's do
Yell
this.
if you see anything.
And she picks up her knife, and which one do you want to take?
Mushroom path.
Okay. She goes over to the side with
She
the...
shouldn't have dark vision, I guess.
Yeah,
Neither
that's
do
also
I.
true.
Neither do I. So.
Oh, right. Wait, maybe she does. Is
Both
she elf?
humans.
No,
Oh.
she's a human.
Yeah, we're both humans.
So she goes over to the...
Do I still have? Oh no.
Nope.
Yeah.
All right. Roll a perception check.
19.
Okay. It's later into your watch when you hear a rustling noise, not in front of you, but coming from the direction of the menagerie. And you glance in that direction, and Lady Opreed has her hand up, and it just sort of points in the direction of the sort of the bird path.
Okay.
And there's rustling, and there's rustling. You're kind of far away, but you can still hear it. It's like the trees shaking. And you look up, and you notice, for the first time in a while, the blazing eyes of the creature you met outside peering at you from one of the canopies outside of the bubble. Just staring. Tilts its head. And then vanishes back into the tree line.
Is it in the bubble?
No, it's outside the bubble.
So the rustling was coming from somewhere else. I am gonna go tap person closest to me.
Okay.
Whoever that would be.
Yeah, I'm
Someone about my
gonna
long
say...
Farlina. I'll go
Sure.
with Farlina. I know Farlina has some ranged power, so yeah.
All right, you go down and you wake up Farlina.
Yeah. And also waving and sort of acknowledging to Lady Opreed. So yeah,
What time is it?
it's early, but there's some movement somewhere on from where the birds came from.
In the trees. Okay.
And then gonna go up and stand by Lady Opreed.
Okay. Lady Opreed is staring, and you can see the path of the menagerie from this side has that very, very dense growth that makes it pretty hard to pass through before it goes to the elevated pathway that looks out over the enclosure that had the birds in it. And looking up, you can see visually from here rustling as it looks like something might be pressing through. Opreed is backed up against the edge of the top of the amphitheater, just looking in that direction. And as she hears you coming up the stairs, she just sort of glances back and glances forward. But she's staying put. She's holding there.
Does the rustling look like it's being caused by like any drippy coming through?
It seems like it's rustling from below, not above.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you want me to do? You want me to throw some fire at it? At the trees here? At the forest?
Hold up there. I mean, it might solve a problem, but create a couple more.
Bring it all tumbling down.
How about we just raise the whole place and then there'll be no more obstacles in the way?
I mean, Let's hold off on that for a couple minutes. But Lady O'Preda, wait here. If anything gets closer.
Do you want to go investigate and leave her here? Is that what you want?
That seems like a bad idea, going off by myself late at night. Let's wait here, see if it gets any closer, and prepare to raise the alarm.
And as you say that, having made its way through the trees behind it, you see the front of a dripping, faceless thing press through the trees. They kind of cut through its chest and through the back, like it's a gelatinous creature of some sort. And through presses two of the canine-looking creatures that you fought on the bridge.
I throw up 2 produce flames in my hands. What do you want me to do? I can take these out.
Do I have spell slots, or what's the deal? Because I did sleep 2 shifts.
Do we need to wake everyone up?
I think you need to sleep 1 more shift technically to get the full night's rest.
Yeah,
he didn't. This is last watch, so he should have finished already.
Like I would be waking up after this.
I guess that's fair.
Yeah.
All right.
Did you break my long rest?
Yeah, but you can get it back. You just are gonna have to take a nap after this.
You don't have the slots yet.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have the slots.
Produce flame is cantrip
You
stuff.
should have waked me up.
I know. Well, go for the person with the fire ability.
True.
I
Nah.
didn't have to sleep, right?
Oh right.
Yeah, you're an elf.
He's done. You're done in 4 hours.
Ah,
Yeah.
jeez.
I'm still awake.
He's just still sleeping though.
Probably
Yeah.
like sleep.
looking up at the dome.
You know what? I feel like Valen would enjoy sleeping. Like, that's such a noble thing.
I know. It's like it's
Yeah.
excess.
I don't have to,
just
but it's a
like-
luxury.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sleep in.
So Valen's
Alright,
out cold
How
despite the fact
how
that
can
he
you
doesn't
have
need
brunch
to.
if you don't sleep?
Exactly. A really late.
If I do have spell slots though, I actually have a new spell I would
I'll
like
say
to
sure
try
you have
out.
spell slots.
Yeah, so I'm going to cast Grasping Vine.
Okay.
And how far away are they?
Probably about 10 to 15 feet
Pretty
away
close.
from
Oh yeah, so it's going to be cast at the range 30 feet behind them.
you. Okay.
Yeah, so you conjure a vine that sprouts from the ground in an unoccupied space of your choice you can see within range. When you cast the spell, you can direct the vine to lash out at a creature within 30 feet that you can see. The creature must succeed on a dex saving throw to be pulled 20 feet directly toward the vine.
You can't see it though.
Where
You
I
can't
guess
see
yeah.
past the foliage.
Yeah, you
Oh,
can't
the
see where
foliage.
it's cast because
Okay.
there's. I mean, you've been there.
But yeah.
So-
Actually, in that case, I'll say to Farlina, wait until I go, and then I'm going to cast Fairy Fire on them.
Okay. You do so, and they have to make dex saves,
Yep.
right? That's a nat 1.
Ah.
And that's a nat 20, so
Wow.
it's this die, I swear to God.
Jail.
Yeah, so one of them just ignites and is covered, and the glittering magical dust kind of settles into the goop and just gets trapped there, so it's just permanently glowing. The other one just is slightly out of the way. It's still pulling through the trees, and you cast in front of it, so you missed that one.
Okay.
The one that's lit up, I'm gonna hurl one of my produce flames at it
Okay.
and
Make an attack roll.
make a ranged attack roll.
At advantage.
At advantage. Thank God. 19.
That hits.
Cool.
Roll some damage.
Awesome. 12 points of fire damage.
Okay, so the fire sort of eats into it, hitting squarely where it is already glowing, and it's almost like the fairy fire itself ignites at its front. Again, it doesn't really react to this. It is currently on fire, but it's just sort of standing there, and it's taking very slow steps forward in your direction without doing all that much. So that hit it.
Okay.
Did some damage.
Tybalt is going to turn to Lady O'Pree. Give me the dagger.
Immediately.
It didn't look like it was like resisting the fire, was it?
No, it's on fire.
Okay, just to make
Yeah.
sure. It's just
Yeah.
still moving.
Yeah, it's
like,
just still moving. It's
Yeah.
just not reacting in any normal way.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and Tybalt is going to go run and stab the thing.
Okay, you run up to it and make an attack.
Does
Which
the
one are you
hubbub wake
attacking?
me?
The one that's on Fairy Fire, so
The one that's on fire, fairy
Yep.
fire? Okay.
What's your passive
fire.
perception?
with advantage, luckily, so that is 15.
15 hits, yeah. Oh, 15 damage or
15 to hit, and then
Yeah, that hits.
It's what is it?
D4
1d4
Yeah.
plus dex.
1d4 plus
You're
2.
proficient with daggers, yeah.
Yep. So that's 3 damage.
Okay.
Why?
Because it popped earlier.
Jonathan was also there.
Tybalt has a low opinion on that. He's discounting him, and he assumes it is a magic dagger.
It's from me.
Let him stab.
He stabbed.
Oh, right. It is. Oh my god, I totally forgot it was Tamhir's dagger. I thought we'd found it in the.
It's mine.
Oh no, I have that knife.
Yeah,
that's
unfortunately, Valen has that.
The rogue has the nice knife.
Anyway.
Okay.
So you stab with it.
The rogue is still
because
asleep.
I think it's totally reasonable that Tybalt
Yeah,
just
oh no,
forgot
I
about
love
the
it.
series of
I
events.
love it.
Yeah.
And
Incredible.
it hits. It does damage.
Okay.
You cut into it, and it sort of sinks into its strangely soft flesh, and then tears out. And as you do so, the dark ichor sort of clings to the dagger, and you can feel it sort of dripping down onto your hand.
Ew.
My passive is 17.
Yeah, you heard. I'm gonna say that you sort of got roused a little bit when when Tybalt came down to wake up Farlina, and now that there's like shouts and flashes
Fire.
from up above, yeah, you sort of glance up and see that.
Ah!
Yeah.
I'll try to make my way there.
Okay. I'm going to cast Scorching Ray at 3rd level.
Okay.
So that produces 4 rays.
Jeez.
And that's going to be 4 attacks. I'm going to send 2 at the one that's already on fire and 2 at the other one that's not on fire.
Go for it.
Okay. So for the currently flaming one, 23 to hit for the first one.
Hits.
25 for the second one, so those both hit. And then for the regular one, not fairy fired,
Okay.
23 again. And 9 for that last
That one misses, but the
Okay.
rest hit.
Okay. 11 for the first bolt, 13 for the second bolt
Okay.
on that one
All
dog.
right. So you shoot the first bolt, which hits the fairy fired dog and just pierces through it. You can see its whole body begin collapsing in on itself, and the second one just hits the already dissolving ichor and ignites it. So
Perfect.
It's just on fire. It is dead and on fire.
Awesome.
Yes.
For the third one, 14.
Okay. That one blasts into its side, and it sort of turns as almost its whole shoulder area is blown back and away. But the other one keeps walking forward, completely blind or ignoring the fact that its companion has fallen. It is just moving forward.
Okay.
And it sort of turns slightly and looks like it's heading towards the stairs of the amphitheater.
Okay.
Uh,
Someone else want to do something?
Am I up?
You're awake. You see up above that a series of blasts have sort of ignited space at the top of the amphitheater, and so you get to your feet, and what do you do?
Can I see to the top of the amphitheater from here?
You can see to the top. You probably can't see like the flat of what's going on up there, but you can see the top of the stairs, and you can see moving towards the top of the stairs the top of this figure.
I can see the thing?
Yep.
All right. I will... Well, how far away is that? I got a 60-foot spell I want to do.
See, I was about to say 60 feet, so there you go. Yeah.
I will summon a spectral bell then and toll the dead.
Okay.
So wisdom save from that guy.
Can do. That's a natural 20.
Damn it.
It's these dice are amazing. This is why I don't roll dice usually.
Yeah. Because we know what it's going to be.
It's always a
it's
1
20
or
or
a
a
20.
Then nothing.
Okay.
I'll move up the steps.
This noise echoes through the space, but the creature is unmoved.
Does it rouse Valen from his very restful sleep?
Valid. Make a perception roll.
Turns over, stuffs his robe into his ears.
That's a 20.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Darn
You
it.
hear it. You can choose whether you acknowledge it, but you hear something going on, and it rouses you from your incredibly deep elf sleep.
I'm going to like notice that I'm the only one of the like my friends who's still here, and then kind of be worried about that. So, I'm gonna dash up the stairs.
Okay. Both Bass and Jonathan also notice it. Notice what's going on. Although Jonathan just kind of leans back and cranes his head trying to see what's going on. And he's just going to observe from where he is, because what else is he going to do?
All right, Tybalt is going to take the knife with all the ichor on it, and in a fit of disgust, throw it to the ground, grab his staff, and then try and hit the... As he's hitting it, cast Shillelagh, and then try and hit the dog.
Okay.
So that is
Do
just
it.
a plain old attack.
Go for it.
That is a 21.
That hits.
Hell yeah. Shillelagh connects with something.
So rare.
Guess how much damage, though?
4.
4.
Oh.
With the clang of the dagger hitting the stone and clay above, you whip out your staff and swing it as hard as you can, and just sort of hit the top of it. You can almost blow off in a fine mist some of the goop at the top of this creature, but and it begins walking down the steps.
Well, it's gonna meet me, so
Yep.
I'm gonna hurl my other produce flame at it.
Okay.
20.
Hits.
Cool. 10 fire damage. Wasn't enough, was it?
It's got 1 health left.
Damn it!
I will toll the dead for finality.
Okay, go for it.
Oh, that's a wisdom save.
Yep.
Nope. That one.
That's a 2.
Yeah!
It's way overkill.
3
19.
with a +1. Okay, yeah, no. And the vibrations just splatter it across the stairs, and it's like it starts to just ooze down the stairs into the amphitheater, and they're dead.
Ugh.
Oh, okay. I would really like to go back to sleep now and finish resting. Thank you for calling me?
Anytime.
Good night. Or good day.
Tybalt will go up, pick up the dagger, and then hand it to Lady O'Brien.
Okay, she sees that it's covered in goop and kind of hesitates for a little bit.
He puts it on the ground in front of her.
You really might want to wipe that off. Please wipe it off. As I walk away.
She looks down at the clothes she's borrowing from you, Farlina, and is like, okay, I guess, and starts wiping it on.
You have to be specific.
The real game of D&D.
God damn it.
NPCs destroy your companion stuff.
My really nice clothes. Well.
And it's like white too. I'm sorry.
I know.
But she does. She wipes it off. And she does now have a splotch of dark ichor on the side of her outfit. But she tucks the dagger away.
All right. I would like to also finish my rest.
Okay. You all return to the bait. Yes, Farlina, you are making a face.
Well, I just made a weird face. Would prestidigitation get that shit off?
Can try.
Can I try that real quick?
Sure.
I want to try and prestidigitate the goop out of the clothes.
Okay. You do so, and you can see the dark stain lift and fade, but there's active discoloration where it was.
Okay. I was just curious. Mm-hmm. And now I go to rest.
Okay.
Now your watch is ended.
Now my watch is ended. It ended hours ago.
You return to sleep, Valen. You got to the base of the stairs. You see everything happening.
Thanks for waking me, you guys.
It's fine. Some dogs. You can go back to sleep.
And as you settle in, Bass, who had also turned towards the stairs and sits back down, sees that everyone's kind of awake. And says kind of quietly, not projecting to the area, I remembered more of it if you want to hear. Or I can tell you tomorrow. It doesn't really, or later today, I guess. Doesn't really matter, but I did remember more of it.
Tybalt peeks over the amphitheater. Tell us now. Go ahead.
It's not all of it, because it's long, and even if I remembered it, I'm not going to read an epic poem here right now, but the part from where I said before seems like it could be relevant. Maybe. It's, well, starting with what I said before. O fair thorn took torch in hand to light where this new road began. One torch would lead, one torch would stay, and Faewyn turned and walked away. Lit by the sun on either side, old crafts to loom were once more tried, to catch the broken, caught and frayed, to make what could not be remade. But songs sing loud, still in the day, thread in the sun begins to fray, and to the silent, to the dead, a warning spoke. a last right red. When fair Faewyn burns thorny skies, when old white nights meet greed green lies, then once walked paths through darkness wend, and the end must start, and the start must end.
Mega downer.
It's a bummer fairy tale.
That does not bode well for what we have seen so far.
It doesn't. And it could be nothing. I'll say, I don't remember it, but even that end, it's a callback to something that happened earlier.
Has this happened before, do you think?
I'm saying in a poem. I don't
Oh.
know. I'm just saying in the poem, that final line, it's repeated. I don't know. But I thought I'd share.
Thank you. That's... I struggle to say that was helpful, but it was... yeah,
Well, puts us in the middle of the story.
I think it does. Well, middle, end, possibly? I don't know.
Are y'all supposed to be sleeping?
I think so.
Wish I could.
Yeah.
She leans back.
Thank you.
It's the best I can do.
It's something.
And with that, you all settle in for a few final hours of rest before you confront what you found deep below the enclosure. And we'll tackle that next time.
Thank you for listening to In-Betweens, episode 12.
In-Betweens was written by Gina Smith, starring Gina Smith, Allison Mann, Gus Ireland, Evan Falco, and Victor Mann. The music was composed, orchestrated, and recorded by Jacob Ryan Smith. D&D Major was created by Gina Smith, Jacob Ryan Smith, and Allison Mann. If you're interested in supporting the creators and future productions, consider donating to our Patreon at patreon.com/ShortOneGaming. Or to see our Let's Plays and other projects, subscribe to our YouTube channel, ShortOneGaming.